You are standing at a bus stop at 6:40 in the morning holding a coffee you made at home in a thermos that doesn't close properly, so you hold it upright with both hands like something precious, because it is. The bus is 11 minutes late. A man in a truck slows down at the light and looks at you the way people look at bus stops, not at you, through you, at the fact of you standing there, which confirms something for him about the kind of person who stands at bus stops at 6:40 in the morning. The light changes. He doesn't remember you by the next block. At the gas station where you pick up shifts 3 days a week, a man named Carl rings up his own beer and scratches a lottery ticket on the counter while you're still scanning the barcode. He doesn't say thank you, he doesn't say anything. He leaves the scratch-off dust on the counter and you wipe it with a rag that smells like the orange cleaner the owner buys in bulk from a warehouse store that doesn't let you shop there because you don't have a membership, which costs $45 a year, which is money. Your friend Keisha picks you up after your shift because the bus doesn't run past 9 on weekdays, and you haven't told her that the reason you always need a ride is that the $300 it would cost to fix the alternator on your car is $300 you don't have and won't have until something else breaks first. Keisha doesn't ask why, she just shows up. She has a bag of takeout on the passenger seat, and she hands you the bigger container without checking which one it is. You eat in her car in the parking lot of the gas station, and she tells you about a man she went on a date with who spent 40 minutes talking about his truck. You laugh. She laughs. The food is warm. The car smells like garlic bread and something that might be rain. The men in your life at this level are not cruel. That's the thing nobody captures correctly. They're not villains. They're just not looking. You exist below the line where looking becomes worth the effort. The mechanic quotes you $600 for the alternator and doesn't explain the labor breakdown because he doesn't expect you to ask. The landlord from 2 buildings ago never learned your name. The guy at the bar last month let the door close in front of you and didn't turn around. None of them are bad people, they just don't see you. And the worst part isn't the invisibility, it's that you've started to believe the invisibility is accurate, that maybe there isn't much to see. You work full-time now at a medical supply company in a building with a parking lot that floods every time it rains. You make $28,000 a year, which after taxes and insurance and the parking pass they charge you for the lot that floods is roughly $1,900 a month. Your apartment is a one-bedroom that smells faintly of the previous tenant's cooking, no matter how many times you open the windows. Your credit score is 641. You checked it this morning on the bathroom floor because somehow checking a number that important feels like it should be done sitting down. A man named David takes you to dinner at a restaurant with cloth napkins, which feels like an event. He orders for himself without looking at the right side of the menu, which is the side with the prices. You look at the right side first. You always look at the right side first. When the check comes, he picks it up and then pauses, holds it in the air between you like a prop and says, "Should we split this?" It's not a question. It's a statement shaped like a question to protect himself from being the man who didn't offer. You say, "Sure." You pay $27 for a pasta you could have made at home for $4. He texts once after that. You don't hear from him again. The mechanic, still Carl, still at the same shop near the gas station, quotes you $480 for new brake pads and rotors. You know the parts cost $160 because you looked it up on your phone in the parking lot before walking in. You tell Carl. He looks at you for the first time, actually looks at you, with his chin slightly tilted back, the way men look at women who say numbers out loud in places where women aren't expected to say numbers. He adjusts the quote to 370. He doesn't apologize for the first number, he just changes it and writes the new one on the same receipt without crossing out the old one, which means he knows you know and he doesn't care that you know, because the transaction will happen regardless. Men at this level are transactional. They are pleasant when there's a reason to be pleasant, and absent when there's no reason to be pleasant. Your supervisor at the medical supply company, a man named Glenn, says good morning to you every day, but has never once asked what you do on the weekends. He compliments your work by saying, "Things run smooth when you're here," which is a compliment shaped like a job description. You are useful. Useful is not the same as valued, but at $28,000 a year, it's close enough that you stop noticing the difference most days. You've changed jobs twice. You now work in healthcare operations at a company that has a mission statement on the wall of the break room that nobody has ever read, including the person who wrote it. Your credit score is 738, your savings account has $14,000 in it, you drive a car that starts on the first try, and you've stopped thinking about that as a luxury, which is its own kind of wealth.
Men treat you differently here, but the difference is professional, not personal. Your coworker, a man named Terrence, listens when you speak in meetings now, not because he respects you more than he did when you were invisible, because you sit in a chair that suggests someone above him decided you were worth listening to, and he respects chairs. The bank teller processes your deposits without commentary. The waiter at the restaurant refills your water without being asked. The man at the hardware store doesn't follow you down the aisle anymore. These are not kindnesses, they are the absence of suspicion, which at this tier passes for respect. You go on a date with a man named Paul who works in commercial insurance and drives a car slightly nicer than yours. He asks what you do, and when you tell him, he nods in a way that means he's placing you on a scale he's been building since he was 22. The scale has nothing to do with attraction and everything to do with positioning. You can see him doing the math. Her job plus her apartment plus her car plus her confidence divided by her age equals a number he can work with or a number he can't. He decides he can work with it. He suggests a second date. The second date is fine. The third date is fine. Everything is fine in the way that fine means the absence of discomfort, which at this tier passes for connection. You tell Keisha about Paul. She says he sounds fine. You both laugh. It's the same laugh from the gas station parking lot 3 years ago, except now you're sitting in your own apartment on a couch you bought new, and the takeout is Thai instead of the place that used to give extra garlic bread. Keisha hasn't changed. She still shows up, she still hands you the bigger container without checking. And you realize, sitting on that couch with your credit score at 738 and your savings at 14,000 and your job title on a door that locks, that Keisha is the only person in your life who treated you this well when you had nothing. Everyone else arrived after the number changed. She was there when the number was 0. The shift happens so gradually you almost miss it. But one Tuesday, you walk into a coffee shop in a blazer and a watch you bought yourself as a promotion gift, and the man behind you in line holds the door. He doesn't just hold it, he holds it and steps aside and gestures for you to go first. His eyes don't go to your face. They go to the watch, then the blazer, then the shoes, then back up to your face. The entire assessment takes less than 2 seconds, and you catch all of it because you've spent your entire life being assessed, and the difference between being assessed for risk and being assessed for value is a difference you can feel in your spine. A financial advisor named Mitchell calls you to discuss investment options for the surplus in your savings account. He calls you by your first name 9 times during a 30-minute conversation. He uses the word strategy 4 times. He uses the word future 6 times. He sends a follow-up email within the hour. You have never been followed up with this quickly by a man who wasn't trying to date you, and even the men who were trying to date you were never this prompt. Mitchell is selling something, but the thing he's selling is the feeling of being taken seriously, and you are not immune to how good that feels after 30 years of being looked through.
The man on the 4th date, not Paul. Paul ended after date 5 when you realized fine was not a foundation. This one is named Jillian. Jillian asks what you do, and when you tell him, he doesn't nod and calculate. He leans forward. He asks a second question, then a third. He asks how you got into it. He asks what the hard part is. He asks what you do differently. These are not positioning questions. These are curiosity questions. And the reason he's asking them is not because he's a better man than Paul. It's because your answer now includes numbers that make curiosity feel worth the investment. You know this. It doesn't make the curiosity feel less real. It just makes you wonder if it would have existed at 28,000. Men are performing now. You can see it. The contractor renovating your investment property, a man named Hayes, gives you the real estimate on the first pass. No inflation, no padded labor costs. He hands you the quote on a printed sheet instead of scribbling it on the back of a receipt the way Carl used to. He says ma'am once and then corrects himself to your first name when you don't react. He's reading you the way Carl read you, except Carl was reading for what he could take, and Hayes is reading for what he needs to give. You sit at a dinner with 3 couples. The men at the table ask you about your work. Not the polite version, not the Glenn version where compliments are shaped like job descriptions, the real version, where they want to know the numbers because the numbers have become interesting. One of them, a man named Stuart, says something that surprises you. He says, you know what you're doing and it's obvious. You say, thank you. And then you feel something unexpected, not gratitude, but grief. A small, fast flash of grief for the version of yourself who stood at a bus stop at 6:40 in the morning and would have given anything to hear a man say that. She needed it. You don't. And the distance between needing it and not needing it is the loneliest measurement you've ever taken. Men split into 2 categories now, the ones who lean in and the ones who lean back. The ones who lean in are easy to identify. They appear at events you attend, they ask for your card, they suggest coffee, they reference your company by name in the first 3 sentences, which means they Googled you before the conversation started. One of them, a man named Derek, asks you to dinner at a restaurant you've been to twice and he clearly hasn't. He mispronounces the name of a wine he ordered to impress you.
You don't correct him. You let the mispronunciation hang in the air, and you watch him not notice it, and you realize this is the first time in your life that a man's attempt to impress you has made you feel less, not more. The ones who lean back are harder. These are the men who were interested until they heard the number. A man you met through a friend stops texting after the third date, not because it went badly, but because you found your LinkedIn, and the title, and the company, and the trajectory made him feel something he couldn't name and didn't want to examine. He never says this, he just stops. The silence is the message, and the message is that some men cannot be attracted to a woman who doesn't need them, because being needed was the only framework they ever had for being wanted. You call Keisha. She picks up on the second ring. She said she saw a car in a commercial that looked like your old one, the one with the broken alternator, and it made her laugh. You laugh too. She doesn't mention the number. She never mentions the number. She asks if you've eaten, and when you say no, she tells you about a new Thai place that delivers to your neighborhood. The bigger container shows up 40 minutes later. You eat on your couch, different apartment, same woman. And you realize the thing you've been looking for in every man who held a door or poured a wine or leaned forward with curiosity was the thing Keisha has been doing since the parking lot of the gas station, seeing you when there was nothing to see, and meaning it. Nobody disagrees with you now. That's how you know. The contractor doesn't push back on the budget, the accountant doesn't question the allocation, the man sitting across from you at dinner doesn't say, "I think you're wrong about that," even when you are. You test it one night. You say something you know is untrue.
Incorrect. A number, a date, a statistic about a market you've been watching. The man across the table, a venture partner named Graham, nods. He doesn't check, he doesn't correct, he absorbs it the way people absorb things from sources they've decided not to challenge. You excuse yourself to the bathroom, and you stand at the mirror, and you look at your own face, and you think, this is what deference looks like. And deference is not respect. Deference is fear with a napkin in its lap. Your driver, a man named Emilio, holds the car door every morning. He says good morning and nothing else. You've tried to start conversations. He answers in short sentences and correct grammar, and the formality is not rudeness, it's protocol. He was told by the company that hired him to be professional, which means pleasant and invisible, which means he treats you the way you were treated at $0, except now the invisibility goes in the other direction. He doesn't see you because he's been paid not to. And you think about the man in the truck at the bus stop who looked through you 10 years ago, and you realize the geometry is identical. Different direction, same distance. You sit in a room with 11 men. They are pitching you. Their slides have your company's name on them, spelled correctly, font matched to your brand guidelines, which means someone on their team spent 2 hours making sure the kerning was right because they know you notice details. They laugh at the thing you said that wasn't funny. They reference the article about you that came out last month and call it insightful, which is a word people use when they haven't read something but want you to believe they have. One of them, a man named Whitmore, makes eye contact with you for 4 seconds too long. Not attraction, calculation. He's trying to determine which version of himself you want to see, the confident one, the deferential one, the charming one, the serious one. He'll be whichever one closes the deal. He doesn't know he's doing it. He thinks this is just how he is. But you can see the audition, because you've been watching men audition since the coffee shop and the watch and the blazer, and the auditions have only gotten more expensive and more rehearsed. And the thing that nobody tells you about being a woman at this altitude is that every man you meet is performing, and you will never again know if the performance is the person or the person is behind the performance. After the meeting, you sit in a car that costs more than Gerald's apartment building. Emilio holds the door. You call Keisha. She picks up on the first ring. She says she found a Thai place near her new job and the Pad See Ew is better than the old one. You say you'll try it. She says bring that ugly thermos you still have. You laugh. She laughs. She still hands you the bigger container. She still doesn't Google you before the conversation. She still doesn't mispronounce wine or lean in with curiosity timed to your net worth or nod when you're wrong because she decided you're too important to correct. The men in the room today will remember this meeting for months. Keisha won't remember the call by tomorrow because to her it wasn't an event, it was just Tuesday. And that is the difference between every man who arrived after the number changed and the one person who was there when the number was nothing. The difference is that Keisha never needed a reason to show up. She just showed up. And she handed you the bigger container. And she didn't check which one it was. And she never will.